What's up, everybody? It's Red Baron 59 back with another video today. So anyway, today what I've done is I kind of put together a little bit of things about how I feel personally I would review this game and what I find to be like kind of the really big cons of this game. And I overall, like, here's the thing about it: the COD formula is still here and it's still enjoyable for the most part, but there's just things that, like, people say that the game has gotten stale and yada yada yada. I don't think that that's at all remotely the case. If I were to right now just give it a numerical rating, I would say the game is about a 6.5 out of 10. Now, here's the thing: the formula for Call of Duty has remained strong and is still an incredibly fun way to play any shooter, honestly. But there's certain things that are on the polished end of it that just are not present and haven't been present for a couple of years. And I think there's financial reasons for that, and I kind of want to go over a little bit of those things. Jim Sterling's son, as many like to call him, he has a lot of really well-developed opinions on what the AAA gaming industry really brings to the table today, and I think that I've been around gaming long enough to have some really solid opinions of that myself. It was actually really funny because the very first game I ever played was Secret of Mana, and the very first game I played and completed was Final Fantasy III. I eventually completed Secret of Mana, but I played Final Fantasy III around the same time. They were a part of all the games I received. I think I mentioned this in one of the recent videos I made, and so I gravitated more towards Final Fantasy III. It was the one I ended up finishing first, and I really enjoyed Secret of Mana. Funny story: it's actually going to be re-released as like a 3D update on PlayStation, which I'm going to absolutely hop on that. I'll be doing a review for it. I'm incredibly excited to play that game. I actually recently replayed it on Super Nintendo, and I'm really excited to kind of bring what that game has to offer to a wider audience and show people what I think is one of the highlights of retro gaming, easily one of the best games ever made. And for a number of reasons. And that's what I think is really funny, is those games have stood the test of time because they were well designed. Now, let's talk about some of the pros of this game. Obviously, it's an accessible, easy to understand multiplayer experience. It doesn't really need a lot of mechanical skill from a player to give you a lot of positive feedback and enjoyment. So essentially, it has a low barrier to entry, but at the same time, one of Call of Duty's biggest issues is its really low skill cap at the same time too, though. I think the skill cap used to be higher in older Call of Duties for a number of reasons. Power positioning, so people complained a lot about quote-unquote head glitching, so they did a lot of things with these recent cuts, including this one, where you have head glitches, but you can be shot out from them relatively easily, just wall banged straight up by somebody that doesn't even have FMJ, 6 rounds from an AR, things like that, and you can kill somebody behind cover easily just by shooting through the cover. Obviously, that's going to be twice the time of regular shooting, but that wasn't as much of a thing in older CODs. You needed FMJ a lot of times to shoot through harder surfaces, and the quality of said cover was a factor in how easily you could kill somebody behind cover. So if you were on Kill House on Modern Warfare and you were trying to shoot somebody that's in that little plywood area to the side, then that was pretty easy to do. But if you were trying to shoot somebody out of, say, a brick that was behind a brick, it'd take you a lot more bullets if you didn't have FMJ. So you couldn't realistically do that. But in this game, that's an easy possibility. Now, obviously, another positive is the minimal time to kill, resulting in constant player engagement, and again, contributing to the lower skill cap. But again, that's also one of the things that, as time goes along when you're playing it, can make Call of Duty feel less rewarding, because there's not a lot of aim needed. You don't have to have the best accuracy in the world. If you were to go and play, say, even Destiny, that has a moderately higher time to kill, or Halo, where typically it might take you about a second per person to win a gunfight, maybe a little bit more sometimes. Then you'll notice that there is a significant bonus to having better aim. While in Call of Duty, there there is a benefit to an extent to having good aim. But like when you're talking, you know, people like myself versus the average player, like I'm a little above average. I've been a little above average for a while. I probably would be a lot above average if I hadn't taken, you know, 16 months off of the game and shooters in general for the most part. But at the same time, so like in Call of Duty, there's not much advantage to me in terms of like my mechanical input versus somebody else's. You know, I could very easily lose a gunfight because, you know, it's one bullet to one bullet. So, you know, I mean, if we're using like, you know, the same gun, I mean, you only need 3 bullets to kill with the bar, 4 at the most. Yeah, I think it might be 5. It might be a 3 to 5. I know it's 3 to 4 most of the time. I don't know with recent patches and things how it's changed it. But, you know, obviously, like, if I have, say, like a 22% accuracy overall with a bar, and another guy has like 18, then, you know, that 4% difference in overall accuracy means there's a solid chance that he's still going to beat me in maybe, you know, 1 in every 3 gunfights. While on the flip side, you know, a 4% accuracy difference on a game like Halo, it makes all the difference in you know, you losing a lot more gunfights than that other person. Now, I want to point out too, one of the main cons of this game that I feel like has been even worse for whatever reason in this one. I don't know if it's an intentional design choice, but I've harped on this in the past. Call of Duty has terrible viewing angles, and like walking up towards those stairs, the fact that I didn't even see that guy at all, or the fact that this guy coming up the stairs here, you don't even see him whatsoever. Like, peripheral vision in this game just does not exist. It's like people don't see their feet or anything like that, which is one of the common problems with Call of Duty compared to other AAA shooters that have like more polished engines, say Battlefield for instance, and the Frostbite engine. But obviously the fast twitch gameplay can be really exciting. You know, getting big kill gameplays will always be exciting in Call of Duty. No matter how good you are, I think, ever, you're always going to have some fun with that. But it's kind of like other drugs. You know, you get to where you're chasing the dragon after a while, and you know, like, the better you get at this game, the more difficult it is to enjoy yourself. It can be incredibly frustrating in Sledgehammer's games where they have like the hardcore skill-based matchmaking, where, you know, and they also make design choices more than anything that I think are very intentional, with the goal of closing the skill gap between players even more, to you know, essentially neuter people. I remember somebody that I like a lot, Nario, talking about how he had been nerfed post Call of Duty Ghost, where, like, you know, you started to see with Advanced Warfare that they had made obviously clear design choices to you know, make players less impactful in the game. But then you get, alright, so like the cons of this game is obviously the minimal skill gap eventually creates this issue where, like, people realize the skill ceiling in Call of Duty games as you get better at shooters in general is very artificial, and you're gonna reach a point where, like, unless you're somebody like Scumpy who has 40 hours a day to play the game, or I mean 40 hours a week to play the game, and actually does it as a full-time job, you're gonna reach a point where you just really aren't getting that much better, and you're not really seeing any more, you know, any more skill increases over another player. Like, while in another game, like, once you've put down your mechanical skills and you start to really refine your non-mechanical skills, like map knowledge, and again, like, how the fuck does this guy walk up those stairs and get behind me? I never even saw him. That's the peripheral vision in this game that can be quite frustrating. But like with someone like Scumpy, you see those issues, and then obviously the graphics have not really improved since 2008. And then obviously another issue for me is the unintended consequence of party chat, which I think is related to not just Call of Duty, but it takes away like one of the driving factors of player engagement, which is the shit talking in lobbies. Like, it's just not there anymore, and this also makes it more difficult to find people to play games with and to engage in group activities afterwards. So, like, just finding people to enjoy the game with can be really difficult, and it's not just COD. This is across the board. I used to think that party chat was going to be a great feature. Now I'm not so pro party chat at all. But I think poor map design, very linear in this game, and you can really see that even compared to older Call of Duties where, you know, you didn't have 3D movement. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you next time. It's the Red Baron 59. Share with me what you think. Peace.